Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to take a good old look at a couple of new supporter cards and a new item card. They are going to help out those fusion Pokemon, and one of them especially is going to be extremely popular. So let's start off with Elesa's Radiance, shall we? Translations obviously from the lovely Antoine Boulet, which I'm assuming you've probably guessed by now, but let's say it nice and explicitly just in case. So, Elesa, very, very, very popular character in the Pokemon trading card game. Have had, incidentally, an Elesa card previously. I covered it on my history video not that long ago. I think it might even have been the most recent history video I did, looking at Legendary Treasures, and a card which could only be gotten in Legendary Treasures, one of the very rare cards that was exclusive to the set, and it was pretty good if you liked Pokemon tools. Well, firstly, this is way better, and I mean way better, and secondly, there's almost certainly going to be a full art Elesa coming. No one really cares about the Rainbow Rare, but there is almost certainly going to be a full art Elesa coming, and that is going to be one of the most popular full arts we've seen. People are going to go a little bit nuts for this, ladies and gentlemen, so if this is a card you want, this is one you might want to be prepping for sooner rather than later. But what does it actually do? Well, you choose up to 2 of your fusion Pokemon in play, and for each Pokemon you choose, you search your deck for a fusion energy card and attach it to that Pokemon. Oh yeah, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. It's 2 extra energy being brought into play. Now, it is very important. It is 1 energy onto each of 2 Pokemon. It is not 2 energy onto 1. But if we compare that to something like BD from Sword and Shield, BD lets you attach an energy from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. Now, it's any basic energy, but you've got to have it in hand and it's only to the bench. Here you are attaching from the deck, and you are attaching to your fusion Pokemon in play, whether active or on the bench. This is phenomenal, and I've only just got done telling you about that new Genesect and how ridiculous that is as a draw engine for fusion decks. Now I'm bringing you this Elesa card as well. It's dumb how good this card is. It is fully ridiculous how good this card is. But I suppose if we're going to talk about this, we should probably also have a chat about Fusion Energy. Seems rude if we don't. Well, Fusion Energy is one of those energies that provides any kind of energy. Obviously, it's only for Fusion Pokemon. There's no downside here, but it also prevents all effects of your opponent's abilities done to the Pokemon this card is attached to. Not your other Pokemon, not you as a player, but any abilities that would hurt the Pokemon this card is attached to, they don't work. An obvious example here would be something like the Inteleon that drops damage counters from Chilling Rain. That would be stopped. So yeah, I mean basically it's Stealthy Hood, right? Stealthy Hood is a decent support. Now it's not amazing, don't get me wrong, but Stealthy Hood is a decent tool card that's seen a bit of play here and there. And Stealthy Hood, when you attach it, you prevent all effects of your opponent's abilities done to this Pokemon the card is attached to. This is Stealthy Hood and a Rainbow Energy in one, but you don't get the downside of Rainbow Energy. It's ridiculous. And frankly, we are getting to the stage where I don't think I'm going to want to play non-fusion Pokemon moving forward. Not with things like Genesect and Elesa's Radiance here. It's just not something I'm going to be particularly excited by. Now, this is any kind of energy, so do remember if, and I'm not saying you should, but I'm saying if you play something like Bronzong, you can move it around, because Bronzong lets you move Metal Energy, and when this is attached, it does count as a Metal Energy, so you will be able to move it with Bronzong very nicely. Remember, that is opposed to something like Metal Saucer. Metal Saucer allows you to attach a Metal Energy from the discard to a bench Metal Pokemon, but this only counts as a Metal Energy when it is attached, so you can't attach it with Metal Saucer, but you can move it with Bronzong. Firstly, this is going to open up an awful lot of options in terms of tech ability, because it means that you can play 4 of these cards and you can use multiple different types of fusion Pokemon, but also Elesa allows you to attach 2 of these in one go as your supporter for the turn. And then, of course, bear in mind that is your supporter for the turn, but it's not your energy attachment for the turn. So you absolutely can then attach another energy from your hand. And do please remember that Genesect lets you, basically it's Crobat, but has a static ability and it stacks. So once during your turn you draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. Assuming you've got 6 fusion Pokemon in play. You draw until you've got cards in hand equal to fusion Pokemon that you've got in play, but if you're playing something like Genesect, you want 6 fusion Pokemon in play. And the point is that Genesect is such a ridiculous draw engine, it may very well be the best draw card we've ever had, that you don't need to use draw supporters in a fusion Pokemon deck. Which means a card like Elesa's Radiance comes along and you do not feel bad at all going ahead and playing it, because that's extra energy, but you can draw with Genesect. And honestly, the combo of Elesa and Genesect is making me look at fusion Pokemon like I'm not sure I really want to play a non-fusion deck moving forward. Because if I play a non-fusion deck, I don't have a draw engine as good as Genesect, and I don't have a supporter card that can attach 2 extra energy. Elesa's Radiance is a 5 WASI card, and it's just not even a question at this stage. Cards like Beedee are underwhelming and don't see a huge amount of play. And there are 2 good reasons why Beedee doesn't see a huge amount of play. Although I've seen it teched into winning lists, but it doesn't see a huge amount of play. Reason number 1, it's 1 extra energy, that's not enough. Reason number 2, I'm not willing to play Beedee instead of a draw supporter. But because of Genesect, I am absolutely fine playing Elesa, and the fact that it's 2 energy and that I'm attaching from the deck, and seriously, attaching from the deck is way better than discard or hand, because I don't need to get the cards in a discard or hand. It's just ridiculous. Not the only new supporter we have here, though. We've got Chili, Silent, and Crest. Now, me personally, I am absolutely delighted that we are getting this card. Because as well as making my history video on the Pokemon trading card game that I've been doing as we go along, I've also been replaying all of the games. And in Black and White, we had Silent, and we previously had a Silent card. It wasn't particularly good, but we had one. The thing is, Silent is one of 3 gym leaders in Black and White, and we only had the 1 card. Well, now we got all 3 of them on 1 card, and I am delighted. What does it do? Search your deck for up to 3 fusion Pokemon, reveal them, put them into your hand, and shuffle your deck. And this is another one of those cards that could have been underwhelming. So, for instance, we can compare this to Brawly as an example. Brawly is a fairly underwhelming card, which doesn't really see a huge amount of play, and there's a very good reason for it. You see, Brawly lets you search a deck for 3 basic Rapid Strike Pokemon and bench them. It's fine, it's good for helping you get set up, but again, it is a card that doesn't really let you draw, which is a bit of a problem. And I'm sorry, and I'm going to be saying this about fusion cards from now until they rotate, Genesect fixes this. Because you see, what this does is it goes and gets you 3 fusion Pokemon, at least one of which will be Genesect. So you're not giving up your draw power. So in the early game, I might get 1 Genesect and 2 Pokemon that I want to evolve, or if I'm playing a basic deck, maybe 2 Genesect and 1 basic attacker, and then I'm going to be using Genesect to do my drawing, which makes this amazing. Now, I'm not saying it's on the same level, because again, this is only in fusion decks. Outside of fusion decks, this doesn't work. But it's a very similar kind of thing to how we used to play Pokemon Collector in Yuxi. Pokemon Collector, phenomenal card, let you search for 3 basic Pokemon and put them into your hand. And generally speaking, one of those cards would always be Yuxi, because Yuxi, when you played it from your hand to your bench, you drew until you had 7 cards in your hand. It made perfect sense, it was great. And you didn't mind giving up your draw to play Pokemon Collector, because back then our draw was stuff like Yuxi and Claydol. So you would play Pokemon Collector to start setting up your draw. Well, in a fusion deck, your draw is really not going to be relying anywhere near as much on draw supporters. Your draw is going to be based around Genesect. Obviously, you've got to look out for some ways to turn it off. You'll have some counters. But my point is that is generally going to be what you're building around, is going to be your Genesect. So I don't mind playing stuff like Chili, Silent, and Cress, because I'm going to be getting my draw engine with that and then rolling from there. If it wasn't for something like Genesect, this would be a very underwhelming card. With Genesect, I mean, let's give it between 4 and 5 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. It's not a great card. Outside of it, well, I mean, outside of a fusion deck, it's garbage, because obviously. For other types, you know, if this was like free Rapid Strike or free Single Strike Pokemon, I wouldn't like it nearly as much. But because I can grab that Genesect, seriously, it changes everything and makes it into a way better card. But just in case fusion decks weren't looking good enough already, and honestly by now they should be, how about a redonkulous new item card, Power Tablets? Yeah. Power Tablets is an item card that reads, during this turn, your fusion Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. It is an item card that lets you do an extra 30 damage. But here's the thing. There's no text on here saying you can only play one at once. And it's an item card, and item cards are hard to get back and blah, blah, blah. But the point here is that is basically potentially an extra 120 damage. You can go second on your first turn of the game. Your opponent's got one Pokemon. Power Tablets is going to lead to donks. And again, and I'm sorry to sound like a broken record, but seriously, I cannot stress this enough, Genesect. You can, in one turn, draw 24 cards using Genesect. Assuming you've got 4 Genesect and assuming you can keep emptying your hand, and seriously, you can build a deck that empties your hand pretty easily, you're drawing 24 cards with 4 Genesect. Assuming you've got 6 fusion Pokemon in play, including the 4 Genesect. Well, if I'm drawing that many cards, I'm going to draw a bunch of Power Tablets. So I don't need a hard-hitting Pokemon. I need a Pokemon with a decent attack, and then all of a sudden Power Tablets comes in, and I'm going second, and there's going to be donks. And basically the theme of this video is fusion Pokemon are a little bit broken. And it's not necessarily because of the attackers, although I'm sure there are going to be some good ones. The attackers don't really matter right now. Because if you're giving me cards like Genesect for draw and Elesa's Radiance to accelerate energy, and again, all this, you know, drawing 24 cards with Genesect, that's before we even play a supporter. And you give me Power Tablets, I am convinced that I can make a deck that is a fusion deck that if I go second on my first turn, I can play 2, 3, 4 Power Tablets and be doing donkey things. And if my opponent passes a turn with one Pokemon, they should be scared because Power Tablets is going to lead to donks. There are other things Power Tablets is going to do, right? There are going to be plenty of matchups where that extra 30 damage is good and useful and all of that. But for me, my first reaction when I look at Power Tablets is, I'm going to donk people with this. I'm going to go second on my first turn of the game, and I'm going to use Power Tablets to get a turn 1 KO. And I really don't think it's going to be that difficult. Because I really do think the card is that gosh darn good. And usually I'll be going, yeah, but realistically, are you going to be drawing multiples of these on your turn 1 going second? And the answer is, well, if I can draw a couple of Genesect, or search a couple of Genesect, bearing in mind one Genesect will lead to more, then yeah, I actually think I can. Because we've always got things like Professor's Research that will let me discard my hand and draw another 7 cards that I can play in addition to things like Genesect, and things are going nutty. Or I don't need a single energy attacker turn 1 going second, because I've got Elesa's Radiance to get that second energy on there, and we are good to go. These cards are ridiculous. This is another 5 Wossie card. Like back in the day, everyone played Plus Power. And Plus Power did an extra 10 damage. And that's not amazing, but the general theory here is that doing extra damage is always good. Sure, it's only an extra 10 damage, but that can be the difference between a KO and not. Well, this is treble Plus Power, We all saw how good cards like Choice Band were. And now, don't get me wrong, I know Choice Band is a tool, and that stays there, and this is an item card that when you use it, it goes away. But firstly, Choice Band only did extra damage to GXs and EXs. This will do damage to everything. And secondly, Choice Band was a one thing. It didn't stack. This can stack. And the caveat for all the cards I'm talking about today is only for Fusion Pokemon. But you know what? It works so well for Fusion Pokemon, I really don't care. And with the tricks I'm showing you in this video and Genesect, I feel extremely comfortable saying that the support we've already seen for Fusion Pokemon blows Rapid Strike and Single Strike out the water. And I'm certainly sitting here today and I'm just like, I don't know why I would play a non-fusion deck unless it's something I really like and I can really build around it. My default position is going to be fusion decks are stronger than others, at least in terms of support. It remains to be seen the kind of Pokemon we're going to be able to see that can take advantage of them. But my point is, yowza, this is awesome. That's what I think. I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.